Hello and welcome to our Lamvin webinar, where we offer the art of sound solutions. I'm Mark Rich, VP of Sales, and with me today is Rick Farthing, Design Engineer Manager. Today we'll be discussing our brand new Hushwood collection. So in this introduction to this product, what we're going to do first is show you guys some brief examples of some installations that we've had and success we've had with this product, where it's gone, different colors, give you some different ideas, and really just give you an overall idea of the product. And then towards the end of it, we're going to go into details specifically about the product, NRC, and installation methods. So right here, we're showing you our walnut style. Customer elected to put this in the ceiling. Again, to absorb the acoustics. They wanted that nice, rich feeling. They chose a particular pattern as well as the layout design for this application just because of the overall warmth and feeling to the product. This is our birch color. Customer used this in a gym most recently to put it on the walls as well as in the ceilings. Again, this is a nice light color, adds a little bit of brightness to the room. It is a nice standard birch color. Again, customer chose the various orientations for the patterns, as you can kind of see. And again, it just added that nice richness to the workout room that they chose.
And I like to also point out that it's the natural wood look. So a lot of designers and architects that are really hitting for that natural wood. Birch is spot on, right with that. I
would agree. Yep, we're seeing a lot of that too. Here is our oak color. Customer uses this in a hotel. As you can see, you could do this horizontally, you can do it vertically. They chose to do it this horizontal method, so that way it adds a different, stepping version to the room. Again, you can just bounce it off the colors, bounce it off the ideas, the colors that might be going into the room, different versions of the product, again, just to kind of give you some ideas. This one we like a lot. This is our ash color. Customer elected to put it on the ceilings as well as in the individual booths. Orientating the style, again, horizontally and or vertically, or a combination of. As Rick kind of pointed out, we're seeing a lot of customers look for different colors, different textures, different feels. If they have lighter colors in the room, they want to add a splash of color in a different method, but still provide that warmth. That's what this does. Here's our birch color. This was put into an office. Very easy, straightforward. Put some panels behind, absorbing the noise from the constant busyness of the work environment, and then put also an inspirational piece right in the center of the room. You could put products right on top of it, kind of laying in front as they did, especially if it's another acoustical product, it would be even better to increase the sound absorption in the room. This is something that Lamvin really excels at.
Yeah, and this is another good example of the different styles that you want to achieve in a room. If you want to make the walls pop, to blend in, or to share a 50-50 relationship with whatever, like the plants or any kind of a picture, a motif, or other design forms on the walls. And this wood is a very neutral aspect to it, where it could really work either, like I said, disappearing in the background or jumping out in front and being part of the motif.
Here's an overview of the 4 colors that we were talking about. Again, we were showing you different environments that this product has been installed or has been used in, just to give you applications, ceiling, walls, wherever you feel that it's going to go best for you. I'll have Rick go into the acoustical data that you're seeing here.
Yeah, the acoustical properties of the panel, it is the PET, which is about a 0.55 NRC. And any kind of an air bearing or air gap furring away from the wall just adds to the NRC value. And it also, more often than not, they use that air gap to flush out other walls or to in the design aspect. So it actually just helps with the NRCs just by the design layout.
So if somebody has, walls that aren't straight and or it's on brick, anything like that, this really kind of helps out with that environment, because then you can level it off as well as increase your NRC for the room. So what does this panel look like? How are you going to get it? How's it going to be delivered? And what do you do? So first and foremost, it's going to come as a solid panel, 24 inches by 96. And this is 22 millimeters thick. As Rick had pointed out, it's 100% PET backing with MDF and then a wood veneer. And to point out, this is a little bit different product, because what we actually do is use a real wood veneer on top, but it is a stained wood veneer. So you're going to get that color. You're going to get that continuation of color when you're installing and putting this up. There are other products out there that may be similar to this, but a lot of times you have to stain it yourself. So this takes away all of that problem and all of those issues. Rick's going to go into direct installing with screws.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward on the mounting method, either on the ceiling or on the wall. They typically always just recommend a drywall, a black drywall screw, usually a number 8. And if you have access to studs, or if you can plan out the locations, if not, wall anchors. These things, the panels are not that heavy. So again, it's just to ensure flatness, points of contact for the mounting locations, and we can provide our recommendation, how many points of contact for mounting. Ceiling, nobody wants these things to fall, so that it's a lot more care and a lot more securing to the ceilings. But yeah, the blackened screws help hide in between. You don't want to go through the wood face, so it's always going to be in between the ribs. And
so into the PET.
Yes, through the PET into the drywall anchor or to the studs. So
perfect.
Yeah.
So as Rick had pointed out, sometimes if you can't find those studs, you can put in your own. So either you can elect to do a 1 or 2 inch air gap. Again, as pointed out before, you can increase your NRC by the amount of air gap that you have behind these panels. So if you add in these furring strips, you also have your mounting points, and as well as you're increasing your NRC rating. So again, just put them up, take your furring strips if you have a nice easy drywall, or if you don't, let's say you have a brick wall. So you need to install the furring strips on the brick wall to make it a little bit easier for your overall installation. Put those up and directly mount that piece right on there. And as Rick had pointed out, we do recommend, as seen here, every 16 to 24 inches holding down the screwing method.
Yeah, and also highly recommended for red brick walls, any kind of old construction. You don't want to have that many points of contact or hammer drilling into that many red brick or grout lines. So putting up a furring strip, even half-inch thick, just something to mount to, and makes your day a lot easier.
Absolutely. Here is, we did have questions whether or not you can use adhesive to not use as many screws, and or just it's the preferred method. So the answer is yes. You are still going to want to use some screws, because while the glue or adhesive is drying and curing, you need to be able to hold it in place. This is the same with our existing panels as well. Sometimes with our existing panels, we recommend impaling clips with that adhesive. With this, because of the PET backing, quite simply, you put the adhesive on and then put a few of the number 8 black drywall screws, as Rick had pointed out. Allow that just to hold it in place while the adhesive is drying. And again, because you're doing that, you don't have that air gap.
And I like to also point out, in lieu of using screws, primarily with the adhesive method, taking micro pinners or a nail pinner, similar to what you're doing with baseboards, casings, and scissoring the nails on inside the PET, because it's really light. It doesn't take much to just, if you cross pin it together, it's just enough to hold it in there, because you just hold it in place until the glue dries.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Same process applies for ceilings. So as we kind of pointed out before, You can throw in some furring strips. You could do a direct mount to the ceiling. Obviously, the furring strips are always going to be better because it increases the NRC. As well, as we all know, with the ceiling, like Rick had pointed out, a little bit more care, just because it is in the ceiling. It does help out for the environment because then you have wood that you're actually screwing into. So that just gives you that extra little bit of strength, should it be needed. And again, every 16, 24 inches, we do recommend, putting that in there. Obviously, the more the better when it's in a ceiling environment. Anything else you wanted to add to that, Rick?
Yeah, I was going to say this installation is a love-hate relationship. It's you're definitely going to need to have a helper. They're harder to move around, but ceiling installation are typically a lot more points of contact available to mount into, unless it's a concrete flooring or like a parking garage or anything that has a hard ceiling of concrete. Other than that, most of them are all drywall with joists and furring strips. It's really easy. It's a lot easier to install than walls, because typically ceilings are pretty flat compared to walls. But since you are working inverted, you are going to need that. Have to have a helper. So it's a love-hate installation.
Just to make sure nothing happens. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Another common question: T-grids. Can you install directly on them or put it in them? And Rick, what can we do there?
Yes, it's all about the cosmetics of the finished product. When laying these things into the T-grid system or putting them on the face and drilling from the back through the T-grid system into the now it's not, the MDF is not that thick. It's only a 1/2 inch thick with a natural wood veneer, so you do not want to mushroom the wood, pierce through the wood. The PET is a really soft recycled plastic, so super glue on the end of the screw when installing will bind inside the fibers. So if you have a smaller screw and you're going to go in through the back, in through the T-grid into the PET, there are techniques on really gripping into that. But again, anything up on the ceiling, overhead on people, yeah, you want to really make sure it's secure. But yes, installation is
key on that. But they can put it in between and do like a tegular edge in order to show the T-grid system.
Yeah, the standard drop-down T-grid system panels, putting it within. There are some trimming that's going to be needed. I'd like to point out at this time that these come in just one size. So if you're going to have to do any modifications in the field, there are recommended tools.
So that's a good point. So if somebody does have to cut these down, what and how should they be cutting down the panels?
I would get a specialized saw blade, a skill saw, a battery powered skill saw, but you want to at least like 120 tooth, something real for doing fine wood cutting, especially cross grain, and then using tape on the face of the wood to minimize splintering. The cores are coated all the way through, so should not need any kind of touch-up kit for color coding, color correction, or anything like that. So, but yeah, you're going to need to take it slow, take it precise, take precautions. Anybody that's done any kind of carpentry installation or know a little bit about it, it's having the right tools, taking your time, and planning it out. Measure twice, cut once.
So that's if they're going across the wood panels. What if they're going in between? What's the recommendation for that?
Again, it's going to be situational. If you want to have a little bit of a lip on the end, if you're going to be putting it into the T-grid system, you're going to want to leave some of the PET and just remove the rim. You typically are, you're going to be cutting right in between the wood ribs. So,
but they can use also a sharp straight edge knife just to cut through the PET, correct? You can,
yes.
Not obviously the veneer with the MDF, but just the PET itself. If you're going with it.
Any kind of a box knife or a carpet knife can cut the
Can cut through
PET with a couple of passes and a straight edge,
Yep.
but cross cutting through the wood, fine tooth saw blade, and lots of tape, to keep it from splintering.
Okay, and then with that way, all right, perfect, excellent. So that's the end of our presentation today. We'd like to thank you for joining our short webinar on our new Hushtone product. Again, I'm Mark Rich, the VP of Sales, and with me today was Rick Farthing, the Design Engineering Manager. Our contact information is listed here on the page. Should you have any questions or comments, please feel free to reach out to us, and we're more than happy to take care of you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.